Yo, peace family. Back for day two of 28 days of historical abundance. Told you I was going to keep my word. Posted live on YouTube and on Instagram. So just want to start off by saying, first, yesterday we did our first segment, which was day one. We spoke about Frederick Douglass, which embodied the whole concept of the facts don't matter. Whatever it is that you have in your mind to create and do for yourself and for others, you just have to do it regardless of what the facts are saying, regardless of what the world is saying, regardless of what the social construct is feeding to you. Your vision, your mind, your spirit is the only thing that matters in that sense. So we talked about Frederick Douglass yesterday. Today we're going to talk about another important figure of quote unquote African American or Black History Month. Okay. I just want to tell a story about a conversation I had earlier today. I have meetings every weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, I do grow gatherings. Every other month or so, I do it in my home. And I do my best to do every other Saturday via Zoom. If you want to be invited to that, send me a DM. Get a conversation with you. It's free. I don't charge anybody for it. It's about 45 minutes to an hour where we all get on the Zoom. We talk about concepts to help us grow in a lot of different ways, whether it's financially, whether it's spiritually, whether it's mentally, whether it's through health. Everybody knows that I just, went through and I'm still going through an interesting journey of my health because I suffered from a stroke about a year ago or so. And the conversation I had today with the young man, he's not African. He's not of African descent. He's a white guy, good guy, white guy, right? But he said, I don't understand why we have to have Black History Month. I don't understand why we have to celebrate Black history. He's like, we should be focusing on humanity, on human history. We shouldn't be singling out race. Race should be eradicated. And you know what? I said I understand that understanding. I understand where you're coming from. The idealistic focus is a thing. It would be nice to focus on humanity. It would be nice to be able to focus on everyone as a whole. I think that's the best way to do it, right? But what I said to him was the reason why we have this, the reason why I think it's important to have this is because as a people that are part of the human race, the history, the culture, the sciences, the spirituality, a great deal of it was eradicated through the time of slavery and colonization. And even in this day, it is still, in many ways prevented from being taught in the school system. As you see, there's all kind of bills and all kind of things being passed where it's not being celebrated in federal agencies and things of that matter. All of that is irrelevant. Like I said yesterday, history is within us all. And I'm looking at this camera here because I have the YouTube people here I want to talk to. The history is within us all. And we can never allow anything to take that from us, right? But what I said to him is important because we're reinstalling what was taken from us. So, yes, it should be focused on human history. And in fact, Black history is human history. It is American history because everything that was done, contributed, created, and perpetuated by these historical figures are what makes this country what it is today, financially, materially. I mean, all of the inventions we can talk about inventions for 3 days straight. It's everything that is anything in this country was done by so-called African Americans. So it is important. And I spoke to him and he understood. I understood where he was coming from and he understood where I was coming from. But today we're going to talk about one of the most important people to celebrate for quote unquote Black History Month, Dr. Carter G. Woodson. Dr. Carter G. Woodson is actually responsible for the celebration of quote unquote Black history. I believe he was called the father of African American history. Should be called the father of history, period. Such a brilliant mind, such an amazing study. Um, Another example of somebody who came from difficult times, difficult surroundings, and still made something amazing of himself. He was born somewhere in Virginia, long in the early 1900s. I do know that 1912, he graduated with a PhD from Harvard University in 1912. That's insane, because you know what he was dealing with in 1912 as a black man. I'm sure he had all kind of adverse experiences, all kind of things that he had to deal with, and no complaints. He just made it happen. He had a vision, he had a dream to do something, and he did it where it was virtually almost impossible for him to do. There's people right now that are struggling to get whatever college degree that they want to get for whatever reason, right? And they have all kind of reasons and excuses why they aren't doing that. But this brother back then had all kind of reasons and all kind of things that were in his way, and he did not allow that to occur. He just pushed through. So Dr. Carter G. Woodson, an amazing figure. If you don't know who he is, he's actually responsible for this month that we celebrate. It actually started back in the day, and it was called Black History Week. It was just a week. It was only a week, and it has been expanded to a month over time. But he is somebody that we need to look at and follow the example of creating. And what he wanted to do was not specifically for himself. He did not want to create, or he did not want to graduate from Harvard with a PhD for himself so he could have accolades. His purpose for that was so he can be in a position to teach, to share, to give to humanity, to let people know the importance of the history of these people that were stolen and kidnapped, that were placed in a country, foreign country, that were whipped, beaten, chained, raped, all kind of things, brutalized for centuries, um, and turned that into something great. They turned that into something amazing. To this day, we are still here because of the ancestors and what they were able to endure over time. And we're still here. Some of us, unfortunately, are still, you know, mentally caught up in that movement and that time period. Some of us are still spiritually imprisoned because of that. But for those of us who have the ability to spread our wings of freedom and exercise them and do what we can to contribute to the world and do what we can to extend the legacy for those who suffered, for those who endured such pain and strife back then, thank you and congratulations to you, because you are the reason why this is being celebrated. So we celebrate you as well. So just wanted to come on. I told you I would come on every single day, at least one day, at least for 5 to 15 minutes or so, to talk about something about Black history and why it's important for us and why it gives to the abundance that we have. Because remember, abundance is the natural state of affairs, always. And Carter G. Woodson exemplifies abundance because he tapped into himself to do the things that he did. He had multiple degrees. And listen, I'm not here to promote um, college education. I'm not saying anything against it, but he did what he did at a time, and it was very difficult to do. It was very difficult to be Black and be alive in this country, and he did it, and did it in fashion, and did what he could for people, for humanity, not just people of color, but people in the human race. He wanted to give this information so people knew, so they understood, of all races. I think all of us need to understand Black history and Black or African American history because it is important. There's so much information, there's so many discoveries, there's so many inventions, there's so many things that we do today, that we have today, that we would not have if it wasn't for those people back then, if it wasn't for our people back then. So that's my segment for today. I'm not going to give too much. That's all I got. It's getting late. I know everybody's watching the Grammys right now. So just wanted to give that shout out. And remember, abundance is always the natural state of affairs. And 3 principles to remember is the vision principle is to create a vision, hold the vision, and live the vision. If you have those Trinity principles embedded in your psyche, embedded in everything you do, you can't lose. There's no complication that can stop you. There's no wall too hard, too high. There's nothing too difficult if you can exemplify those 3 principles in your life every day. I promise you that. So that's it for tonight. Yes, I'm wearing a New York Knicks jersey. I am, again, You know, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm a sports fan or a Knicks fan because the word fan is short for fanatic. I'm definitely not a fanatic, but I do enjoy my childhood memories of watching the New York Knicks. This is actually a jersey I had when I was 18 years old, and I still have it. Latrell Sprewell, one of my favorite Knicks from back in the day, back in my day anyway. And just fun watching, watching those brothers run up and down the court and do what they do, and being able to tap into my childhood again with all the madness happening in the world, with everything that I've been going through with my own life and my own healing process. It's nice to take a moment to just enjoy watching these athletes do what they do and fight their adversity on a basketball court, because it's all one thing. It really is. So, love, peace, and blessings to everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend and are having a wonderful Black History Month, the African American History Month. Celebrate it however you can. Celebrate it by learning something every day. Learn something about the people I'm talking to you about, because it's important. You're going to get something from it. It's going to empower you in some way, because what they did was empower themselves. And I'm sure Frederick Douglass, I'm sure Carter G. Woodson tapped into their ancestors and allowed that energy and that spirit to empower them to move forward and push to do what they can do for us right now. So go back into your history, figure some things out, learn about Frederick Douglass, learn about Carter G. Woodson, learn about Marcus Garvey, learn about Malcolm X, learn about Martin Luther King more than what they teach you guys in school, because the stuff in school is just very, very, very minute and convoluted, and some of it is half true. So, why does Martin Luther King have the name Martin Luther? Where did he get that name from? It wasn't just his father. He got it from his father, but his father got it from somewhere. Where did they get it from? Anybody can answer that. Let me know. Anybody know who Martin Luther was? I'm not talking about Martin Luther King, because that's where he got it from, Martin Luther. All right. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. We're not going to get into that today. Just want to give y'all some love and something to think about. Keep pushing, keep learning, keep striving, keep growing, keep advancing. Love y'all. Have a good night. Peace.